Hello there, and welcome to this edition. It's the Virgo Goats, this issue, and this is issue number 17. As you can see from the caption beforehand, that will give you the dates you have to be to fall into this combination. Okay, let's first start. We have the Bohemian and the flare orientated goats, totally sort of ad-lib. Has no boundaries, is quiet and gentle, but it really does float along doing its own thing. And its combination partner here is the Virgo, which is a strict tempo organiser. Basically, two opposites really, but the two opposites here can really form such a really good combination. The goat can lend the Virgo a bit of spontaneity and a little bit of flair and a bit of drive to unusual projects, which the Virgo likes to stick to the traditional and also likes to do it very methodically and very correctly. As I say, meticulous is the preparation of the Virgo. So if you add the flair and the technical abilities of the goats, who are such a technically apt sign, you really have got a very bright individual. If we take this to the schooling years, very early on this will be noticed. You'll have a top setter, a top of the class child here. Absolutely not a as I say, a very vocal or overly expressive child in the sense of look at me, but very much so in the sense of will be thoroughly able to do any task put in front of them, because as I say, when these two signs collaborate in the individual, then we have somebody who's punctual, also has the discipline to help the goat out, and the flair and the technical ability to really see projects through and really get down to the nitty-gritty of some real technical stuff. They will excel very young. Even private tutoring here could really help if they excel on any one given subject, because that really could, it has been known for this child to be put in for A levels at the ages of 12 and 13. I mean, such is their advancement. So if we go past this and we go into the adolescence, the issue with the goat is also that they're very friends orientated, and so is the Virgo, but they're very sought after in the sense of Virgo girls will have many boyfriends. They're not particularly that stable at that sense. They like to experience stuff, and this will lend itself to a whole list of exes. But normally, 99 times out of 100, it always splits well, and there's always good friendships that can last on through many years, and they're foreseeable partners. Say they meet somebody and they're pretty serious about them, later teens, early 20s. Will find this very difficult, because they'll say, oh, where do you know such and such from? You know, he's just an ex, but he's my friend, or she's just an ex, she's my friend. They don't like to sever ties. They, once they've found that friend, and they've found that, what they shared a part of their life with, that's very important to them. And the Virgo also is a very friendship sign, and will be very reluctant to sever any ties. It's always said really that if a Virgo goat's been in your life, they stay in your life, and that's very true on so many occasions where there may not be anything sexual anymore, but they can have real strong bonds with these exes down the line, and the new partners find this very difficult to take, and the Virgo goat gets accused very often and misunderstood, that they think they're being flirty or trying to evoke an old flame, when it's strictly not the case. As I say, they're very friendship minded, And anyone who's been in their life, they see them as very important. And as I say, they don't like to let them go. As a family member, they'll be a fantastic family member to their siblings and their parents. Always eager to help. As I say, nice and quiet, nice and steady. They'll have a knack and a flair for diffusing arguments and basically making people feel quite at ease. They don't particularly respond well to any animosity in the atmosphere, so they will diffuse it very quickly. And because they're so practical, the Virgo comes out and says, you know, hey, what you're rowing about, you know, just sort it out. And as I say, they're not a conflict sign, so they would always look for an amicable end to any dispute, and they always tend to keep their noses clean as well. They're very, very rarely in trouble, because they are, as I say, they're very likeable, and they're also a non-conflict person. So if we've gone into the 20s plus, they're in this serious relationship, they need to find that certain partner who's going to be very accepting of the past, and also allow them to have these friends. And that's why I would suggest pigs who are very stable, don't tend to look back in the past, and they are very solid. And I think, as I say, with especially the goat, they work tremendously well. There's that nice solidity for the goat, and that sort of shoulder to cry on sometimes, which is very, very, very important. So if we look for the Scorpio pig, the Capricorn pig, the Taurian pig, and also the Virgo pig, Virgos and Virgos do tend to understand each other very, very well. You know, sometimes they can overanalyse, but they tend to understand each other brilliantly here. So I advise that union as well. I also would like to see the Virgo goats with the rabbits of all of the ones I just mentioned, with the Scorpio, with the Taurian, also with the Capricorn, and also with the Virgo themselves. I mean, that's as I say, that's another one where it's a very, very strong union. The no-go areas for the Virgo goat has got to be all oxes. All oxes. The ox tends to be a bit too slow-moving, uneager to take a risk, and the goat does like a little bit of a risk, but it's only because they back themselves in these situations of being technically gifted, whereas the ox can lack that confidence. They're confident in themselves, but not obviously in risks or changing. So the Virgo goat does need a bit of change to keep the excitement going. And any oxes, that's a no-go area, I'm afraid. In the health-wise, with the Virgo goat, the Virgo can tend to be a bit of a hypochondriac, and the goat, if it's allowed if it lets the Virgo take over, the goat can go into a bit of a malaise here, and it can be decision-making become very difficult. And a lot of inactivity can then manifest itself where they don't feel they can make a decision, they're very hesitant, and sometimes anxiety problems can come in through this. So what they really need to do is allow that structure of not letting the mind get carried away. The goat's got to pull the Virgo through there and say, come on, I'm fit and healthy, because this is a pretty robust combination. They normally eat pretty healthily, they're very fit, would not be carrying excess weight at all, quite sporty, maybe on more individual sports, i.e. rock climbing, canoeing, skiing. They may be very keen skiers, so there'll be individual sports where they can go along with friends, but ultimately it's going to be down to them. It's not necessarily a team player we're looking at here. And occupations-wise, well, anything that involves any flair and dedication, an artist, this is a fantastic combination for somebody with the arts. All sorts, sculpting, painting, oils, particularly oil painting, things like that. I mean, they're capable of so much, but it really manifests itself very well in the sense that, you know, anything that needs design and technology and foresight, then you can pretty much well say that this creature's got it all. If you're employing one of these, give them a nice bit of looseness, give them a bit of problem solving, and they're okay in the team. As I say, they're not anti-team, but they would excel better on their own projects. So and they're very capable, and they will work hard for you. So you know, as an employee, definitely a very good find. That they'll probably be in the top end of their jobs wherever they are. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this issue, and please tune in for the next one. Thanks very much. Bye bye.